Hello everyone, how's it going? This week we're going to talk about how you can implement dark mode in an application with Tailwind and React. Let's get started. So typically in the application with Tailwind CSS, you're going to use utility class name to style your components, to style your HTML elements, such as background black, text white. And for the dark mode, we're also trying to do the same. We're not disrupting the utility class names. We want to add something like a dark and column and our style right after it. And this will give us two versions of our application. One is the light theme and one is dark theme. And this is the goal we're trying to achieve in this video. At time of this recording, I'm using the Tailwind CSS version 2, which comes with support for dark mode. If you go to your Tailwind config, you can see that the dark mode is turned off by default. But in the comment, you can see there are two strategies you can use to enable the dark mode. One is the media strategy and one is the class strategy. The media strategy looks at your operating system's preferred color scheme under the hood to tell if your application is in the dark mode. If it is in the dark mode, then your dark variant CSS utility classes will be enabled in your application and everything will be in dark mode. The class strategy is used for something like if you're trying to implement a toggle button in your application to toggle between the light theme and the dark theme. The reason it can do this is because it relies on adding a dark class to the HTML element. Once the dark class is added to your HTML element, all of your dark variant utility classes will be enabled. Otherwise, it will be disabled. You can take advantage of this by adding this class and removing this class to toggle between the light and dark mode. I can show you an example of that. This example is from one of my earlier projects. So this is basically a custom hook I built which returns a toggle dark mode method where I can pass this hook into other parts of my application and I can toggle my dark mode anywhere. It's very similar to how you would implement it in a React application. You have some sort of toggling state and you have a method to toggle between the dark mode and light mode. And the only difference is that we're going to add or remove the dark class from the HTML element. So you can see here, I'm selecting the HTML elements. And if we're toggling from light to dark mode, we're going to remove the previous one, which is the light class, and we're adding the dark class. And once that's done, we're saving the dark class to the local storage. So next time you go into the application, it will recognize it's in the dark mode already. This is pretty much it for setting up the dark mode in your Tailwind React application. However, you might run into a more complicated example, which I'm going to talk about next. A few weeks ago, I talked about using typography plugin to style some of your markdown text, markdown HTML elements. And if you're using typography plugin while implementing the dark mode, you probably realize that the dark mode, if you're using dark prose, is not working. And the reason for that is that the typography plugin currently doesn't support the dark mode just yet. But if you go to their GitHub repo, there are already some pull requests added to support the dark mode. And if you're working on an application that uses typography plugin and you want to implement the dark mode, which currently the plugin is still not yet supporting it, there is another way to make it work. And what we're trying to do here is adding a light modifier here. We're going to do some Tailwind configuration to make it work. In your Tailwind config, because we're targeting the dark variant for the typography plugin, we're going to go to that variant and then extend and then the typography plugin. And we're going to put dark in the square brackets because we want to target this variant. And next, we want to go to theme. And in the extent, we're going to look at the typography plugin again. And in here, we can specify our modifier. We mentioned about the light modifier because by default, it's using the dark colored typography. So I use light here. You can name it whatever you want. And once that's done, you can add the CSS to it for each of the HTML elements. For example, I have an anchor tag, blog quotes, headers, and you don't have to create all those. So if you go to the pull request I just mentioned earlier, you can see HTML elements palettes being added to this plugin. I'm gonna add this link to the description below so you can take a look. So you can basically copy this and removing the default theme because we're not trying to we're not trying to modify the default theme. We're just using the theme here. As you can see, it looks quite similar to this. Once this is done, you can use class name like this. So by default, you have the prose. Prose is the dark colored typography. And that's how you can set up dark mode in your Tailwind React application. I hope you enjoy this video. If you like this video and would like to see more related content, please consider liking and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment below. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.